before courtrooms, before police badges, before prisons and punishment. There was another way, a way where justice was not about revenge, but about restoring balance. This is the story of how Native American societies understood justice, without prisons. Chapter 1. A different meaning of justice. For many Native American tribes, justice was never centered on punishment. It was centered on healing. When harm occurred, the focus was not on isolating the offender or assigning blame in isolation. Instead, the community sought to understand what caused the harm, who was affected, and how balance could be restored. Accountability mattered, but it was paired with responsibility and repair. Justice served the people, not an abstract system. The goal was to mend relationships, restore trust, and prevent future harm. Those who caused injury were guided to face the consequences of their actions in ways that encouraged learning rather than fear. In this view, justice was not about control or retribution. It was about restoring harmony, so the community could move forward together. Chapter 2. Community over authority. There were no distant courts or impersonal systems of law. Justice took place within the community itself. When conflict arose, elders, families, and those directly affected gathered to speak openly about what had happened. This was not a process of judgment from above, but a conversation rooted in shared responsibility and care for collective well-being. Every voice mattered. The harmed were heard. The responsible were expected to listen. The community participated not as spectators, but as guardians of balance. Responsibility was shared because the effects of harm were shared. Justice was not something imposed. It was something created together. Chapter 3. The role of elders and councils. Elders guided the process of justice with patience and clarity. Their experience, wisdom, and moral integrity helped shape conversations toward fairness rather than blame. Councils were not courts of punishment. They were spaces for listening, reflection, and resolution. Elders ensured that all sides were heard and that emotions did not overpower understanding. Their role was to restore balance, not to assign dominance. Solutions focused on repairing harm and rebuilding trust. Reconciliation was valued over division, and accountability was paired with guidance. Through this process, justice became a path toward healing rather than separation. Power did not come from authority or force. It came from trust, earned over a lifetime of integrity. Chapter 4. Accountability and restitution. When harm occurred, those responsible were expected to take accountability. This responsibility was not about humiliation or fear, but about repair. Restitution often took the form of sincere apology, returning what was taken, or acts of service that directly addressed the harm caused. The focus was on making things right rather than inflicting punishment. Shame was avoided because it was believed to damage the spirit and prevent learning. Instead, the process encouraged reflection, understanding, and personal growth. The individual was held accountable while still being treated as a valued member of the community. Justice was not meant to break a person. It was meant to guide them back into balance. Chapter 5. Healing the victim and the community. In Native American concepts of justice, the focus was never solely on the person who caused harm. Equally important was the care, protection, and healing of those who were hurt. The community ensured that victims were seen, supported, and never left alone. Elders, family members, and neighbors offered guidance, comfort, and practical help, recognizing that recovery was a shared responsibility. Justice was relational. It considered the effects of harm on individuals, families, and the community as a whole. Restoring balance meant repairing relationships, mending trust, and nurturing emotional and spiritual well-being. In this way, the process of justice became a tool not just for correcting wrongs, but for strengthening the bonds that held the community together. Healing the harmed was inseparable from healing the whole community. Chapter 6. Prevention through values and belonging. In Native American communities, justice was not only about responding to harm, it was about preventing it. Strong bonds, shared values, and a deep sense of belonging acted as natural safeguards against conflict. From an early age, people were taught that their actions affected not only themselves, but everyone around them. Respect, generosity, and responsibility were not abstract ideals. They were daily practices, observed and reinforced by the community. Isolation was rare. Everyone had a place, a role, and support. This connectedness created accountability before harm could occur, making wrongdoing less likely. Prevention was woven into daily life through belonging, care, and mutual responsibility, so that justice became a living, ongoing practice rather than only a response to failure. Chapter 7. Disruption by colonization. Colonization imposed foreign systems of law and punishment onto indigenous communities. Councils, consensus, and relational justice were replaced by courts, prisons, and rigid authority. Systems built on trust, dialogue, and restoration were dismissed, criminalized, or erased. The impact was devastating. Generations lost access to traditional ways of resolving conflict. Elders' guidance was ignored, and relationships that had held communities together were weakened or broken. The balance that had once prevented harm was disrupted, leaving both individuals and communities vulnerable. Yet memory remained. Even in the face of suppression, the values of fairness, accountability, and relational justice were preserved in stories, teachings, and lived experience. Indigenous communities held on to this knowledge quietly, ensuring it could one day be remembered, reclaimed, and restored. Chapter 8. Revival and Modern Practice. Today, many Native American communities are actively reviving traditional justice practices. Restorative justice programs draw inspiration from councils, elders, and relational systems, translating ancient principles into modern forms that fit contemporary life. Healing circles, mediation, and community-based accountability continue to guide resolution. Offenders are encouraged to take responsibility, victims are supported, and relationships are restored. Justice remains focused on balance, understanding, and care, not punishment alone. The wisdom endures. It is a reminder that justice can serve the people, protect relationships, and strengthen communities. Ancient knowledge, once disrupted, continues to shape modern paths toward harmony and healing. Closing reflection. Perhaps justice was never meant to punish alone. Perhaps it was meant to heal, to restore balance, nurture relationships, and strengthen the bonds that hold a community together. Welcome to Mode Hub Tales,